Good afternoon, everybody. I see people are coming into the webinar here. Thank you very much for joining us today. We've got a lot of really cool information to share with you, and we're going to be chatting with our friend Jesus about how he got his business started with American Business Systems. So thank you for joining us. Let's see. I would like to know if I am being heard loud and clear. So any of you that are joining us right now, if you would just type in the Q&A box in Zoom and just let me know that you can hear me. Maybe tell me, where you're from if you want to. That would be awesome. I don't see anything yet, so maybe I don't know. Maybe nobody can hear me. I don't know. Oh, hey, there's one. James, hi from James is in Oklahoma. Hey, James, thanks for joining us today. Looking forward to helping you. Steve, hey, Steve can hear me. Thanks, Steve, for putting that in there. So looks like I'm coming through loud and clear. Oh, here's some more. Joseph's from Atlanta. Hey, Joseph. DeAndrea can hear me. Thank you for typing that in there. All right, great. So as you may already know, if you've been on any of these webinars before that we do every single week, we would love to get some feedback from you as we're going here. And so today, if you have any questions for Jesus about his business that you would like to know about, what does it take running a medical billing business? What is that all about? What does it look like? What should I expect? Any kind of questions related to that, feel free to type them in as we go, and we will get to those questions as we can here. And yeah, so we will go ahead and get going here. So I mentioned just a minute ago to say hello in the chat. And as we go, any questions that come to mind, feel free to just type those in and we'll get to them. I am Adam Phillips. I am the CEO of American Business Systems. So thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to just talk a little bit about us as a company. I want to brag a little bit about us as a company. We were recently voted one of the top game changers for the Franchise Dictionary magazine. So that was for 2022, and I believe we're going to be on that list for 2023 as well. So we are one of the top opportunities in terms of flexibility. You have a lot of freedom in how you run this business. You can keep it small and home-based. You can even grow it very large, but still keep it home-based. We have some owners that have data entry people, and they've got a ton of clients, but we have a cloud-based software system, so it's actually very easy to keep it home-based and keep everybody working remote if you want to. So it's a very flexible, very scalable business, and it's in a very, very good price range. So, if any of you on this webinar have been investigating different opportunities, different franchises, and you're just kind of exploring what's out there, you will know that we are on the very, very low end as far as the investment. Our total investment fee is $28,990. That's it. There's no royalty fees. There's no support fees. That's it. So it's very, very reasonable if you're in the grand scheme of what franchises cost. We have a lot of different services and solutions that you can offer to medical providers. So we do a lot more than just medical billing. I mean, helping them with their insurance claims, that's actually a really big part of what our owners do for doctors. But this is really what's going to set you apart from all the other people that are offering medical billing, because there is a lot of people in this industry. But there are not a lot of people who have a full revenue cycle management consulting firm, which is what you're going to be if you become, an ABS business owner. So you've got a lot of different services you can see here. And we actually have a research guide. So if you're looking at all these little boxes and you're wondering what in the heck all those things are, here's a good way to find that out. So we have a medical revenue management research guide. It's actually a 60 something page PDF document that you can download. It's like an ebook, if you will. So if you want to download that, if you want to learn about all the services that you can provide, all the different ways that you can have different revenue streams for your company, this is the best way to do that. So you just go to our website, absystems.com, and you'll see a little button in the top right corner No, I'm sorry. That is the 5 secrets to success. I just noticed that these slides are not quite correct. That button right there actually will take you to our 5 secrets to medical billing success document, which is also very important, but it's not the research guide. So if you want a link to that research guide, we can get that to you. Just get back to your ABS rep and we can send you a link to both of those documents and you'll have a whole bunch of stuff to read. Okay, so there you go. And again, as we go here, type your questions into the panel. We just see everybody's just saying hello, hello, hello. Elaine says hello, everyone. And there we go. So no actual questions yet. Okay, so if you think of anything, type it in there. Again, I'm Adam Phillips. I'm the CEO of American Business Systems. I actually have written this book with one of our partner doctors, Dr. Vicki Rackner. We co-wrote this book together. 9 ways doctors let money slip through their fingers. And that's exactly what this is. It gets right to the point to let doctors understand that there are different things that they can do to help money just slipping away from their pockets left and right. You know, the typical person, when they think of doctors, they think, oh my gosh, doctors are just swimming in money. And you know, maybe a long time ago that might be the case a long time ago, but really it's becoming much, much harder for them to collect their money, and the government is making it very, very difficult for them to get paid properly. And that's exactly what our owners do, is we help them. We actually become an advocate for them and go to bat for them and help them collect their money from insurance companies and from patients so that they can get paid what they're owed, what they deserve to get paid. Again, I mentioned that this is a family business. My parents, Patrick and Linda, mom and dad, there they are. They actually founded this company here in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area in 1994. Even prior to that, they had another small little company that they started from home where they were doing medical billing from home. And I actually have memories of my mom using a typewriter to do medical claim forms. That's how long we've been in this industry. And for those of you who are too young to know what a typewriter is, it's a mechanical device that you would smash these little keys and they would go onto this piece of paper and you guys know what a typewriter is. All right. Okay, so gave you a little history on the company, and now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and introduce our special guest for today. Jesus, are you there with us? Can you hear me clear?
Let me turn on the video. Yeah.
Hey, there he is. Thanks for joining us, Jesus. I appreciate you taking your time out. I know you are a super busy guy. You got a lot going on, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here with you again.
Yeah, sure. So we just wanted to have a chat with you today about your business. You know, you've been doing this for quite a while. So why don't you just share with the people on here today a little bit about what your background was before you got started, when you got started, how long you've been doing this. Give us a little story about how this all kind of came about.
Sure. Well, you know, my background was not really healthcare. You know, I was not really familiar with healthcare. I was just doing marketing, sales and marketing. A lot of people ask me, well, it's also marketing that helps to grow the business. Yeah, in some way in healthcare, but you know, the way you have to market to doctors is completely different. No, so I specialized in marketing, sales and marketing, specifically in software and logistics. So it had nothing to do with healthcare. I evaluated these business because I knew in having some doctors as friends, I knew that these had a great potential. You know, most doctors they struggle, like you said, you know, and the government is making it more difficult every year to recoup all the money that they have earned. So and this is how I got into the business. I met with you with your staff like in 2015. We were talking about, you know, this earlier. So I decided to come on board with ABS. At the beginning was hard because, I didn't know anything about coding. I didn't know anything about, EMRs and how the whole process worked.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter, for all those prospective licensees and people evaluating. You just need to get full time and all the time and the brain that you have to try to understand it. You never really get to understand the industry completely, but there's a lot of moving parts, like coding, compliance. But like you also mentioned, is you have all sorts of products and services with strategic partners that that really helps doctors in different ways. Some doctors may need more help in billing, some others in compliance, some others in coding. But basically, it's all the portfolio that ABS has. It's really helpful for most doctors. So I got in the business in 2015, I guess, mid 2015. It took me about, I would say, 7 to 8 months to get my. Well, that's a nice photo.
There it is, 2015. That's when you got.
Yeah. Before COVID. Yeah, so I have a gray hair now. So yeah, it was I mean, it took me like 7 months to get the first doctor. It was basically, what I did wrong was I was learning a lot. I mean, talking to doctors. The problem was that I was after the wrong market. That was basically it. No, I remember that, when I was desperate after those 7, 8 months, I came to the office, and you helped me. You and your dad really helped me understand, more the market that I was after. The problem is I was after a market that they didn't see the value on outsourcing. They thought that it was easier to save some money, do everything in-house. And, they just thought that, having 30-35% rejection rate was just part of doing business with.
Did you say 35 rejection rate? 35%? Yep. So 35% of their claims were just coming right back after they sent them in the first time.
Exactly. Wow. So I mean, they appealed some of them, some others they didn't really know. So they were having a lot of problems. They had a lot of patients at that time, so that was compensating, but they were either trying to pay, like 4.5% on revenues, or just keep it in house, although they knew that they were not going to get all the money. So it was hard for me at the beginning. They were not really understanding the true value that we bring to the table until I mean, I decided that it was the wrong audience, the wrong market, and I as soon as I just moved away, I met with one doctor, and it was just in the first meeting. That was easy. It was an easy sale. First meeting, we closed it, and we started, a week after that. So my advice would be is just go after the doctors that really see the value on, having a strong partner in billing that can really help them increase revenues.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because that's exactly why we have developed a lot of the marketing tools that we have, like the different books and things. So I don't know, how much you've been marketing with some of the books that we've got, but that's the whole goal, is to help the doctors, if you can get them to look at the book, just certain sections of the book and understand, there are better ways of doing things. But you're right. I mean, a lot of times the doctors, they have to really just get to a point of desperation before they realize, okay, we need some help here, So
yeah.
Did you ever end up being able to go back to that first doctor and sign them up, or you just kind of gave up on that one, or what?
Well, no, I kind of, I still see him because he's a friend of mine. I mean, I after COVID, I haven't seen him that often, but I mean, he is a friend of mine, and he still struggles. But it's the kind of people that they don't really, understand the value on having an outsourced or a company that can really help them, increase revenues.
Yeah.
He's still working with the same billing company that he was working, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, that company is charging him 4.5%. So it's really hard sometimes, to work with doctors like that. I usually decline to work with doctors whenever they ask me, well, I know that the range of percentage is between 4 and 4.5. That they because you're at some point you're going to have problems with those doctors. They just want to save money, whether it's they're receiving 10 or they're receiving 15 or they're receiving 8. No, so that's a problem. If they don't see the value, I try to stay away from them. No, and most doctors out of the blue, they tell you, I pay and I would like to pay 4.5%, and that's out of any proportion in this industry. No, it's a I mean, it's a professional service, but a lot of doctors, they don't value that. No.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of doctors have been burned by crummy medical billing companies that have crummy software and they don't really know what they're doing. And like you said, they're charging rock bottom prices, but you get what you pay for. You're not getting good results. And you're right. There's a balancing point there where doctors have to realize, okay, I may be paying, 4.5%, but I'm, 35% of these claims are not even being paid because they're being rejected and they're not really being followed up on, so.
Oh, yeah. And that's why it's important to, follow all the procedures that you have established at the company. That in the first meeting, ask all the questions to the doctors. Because most of the times, the doctors, there are some doctors that may say, well, I'm paying 4% and that's what I want to pay. But when you ask them, it's how many claims do you do and what percentage of rejection, the basic questions, they don't even know how much they're making. They just don't. Right. So whatever the biller or the other billing company tells them is what they think is what the truth. Yeah. But I mean, I tell doctors, is if you don't have the visibility, especially now with all the technology that we have in hand, if you don't have the technology, I mean, or the visibility, I mean, there's no way you can run a business, profitably. So that's a problem. Most of them, they just go by the reports that they receive from the billers or the billing company, or even the in-house billing, because most of them they have billers in-house. Sometimes it's the wife who's doing the billing, and it's a really tough situation because I mean they actually don't get all the revenue that they should be getting. And there's even doctors that they don't even understand billing, which is that happens. They come out of school, they know everything on healthcare, they know how to treat the patients, but they don't know anything about billing. They don't even know about coding or anything. So those are good doctors to start working with.
Do you find that there are staff that are working for doctors that they make a salary that doesn't really change based on the performance of the claim, so there's not a lot of real effort there? Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot because they I mean, they have known the doctor for a long time and they know what the level of revenues, whether they have 30% rejection rate or 20% rejection rate, but they just don't go after rejected claims. I know it's time consuming, but most people, they just work, 9 to 5. They if they have complicated claims, they just put them on a drawer or throw them away, but they don't appeal them.
Yeah.
Basically, what I tell doctors is just having a process. You need to have a process on, you saw the patient, and then it comes, all the codification, diagnosis, everything. And then once you are done with the encounter is whenever we take over on the claim. But most doctors don't even have a process flow that, once they're done with the patient, they document everything correctly. So they finish the encounter, they sign it, even if it's complete or incomplete. And, that triggers also, red flags and denials, rejections, everything.
Yeah. We've got a few questions here from DeAndrea. She says, what was this target market that you were not having luck with specifically, and has that changed in the last 5 years?
Well, I'm Hispanic, and I thought it was gonna be easy for me to go after Hispanic doctors because speaking the language, it was easier to do all the selling. Now, the problem is that as Hispanics, it's the majority of the time we just look for the savings. We don't look for the value, we go for the savings. So if you're bringing me savings to do the same work, because they understood, doctors, the ones that I was after, they had their ceiling. I'm making 100, for example, and whether it's 20, 30 rejection rate, I don't know if it's even 10 or whatever. But this is my ceiling. If you are going to give me any saving, so I'm going to save and I'm going to make more money. But they don't see it, on the way that, I'm going to raise your ceiling to 130 or 150, and then, we're all going to make more money. So they basically see it as the ceiling, and it's really hard to change that mentality in people. So once I started to talk to doctors that really saw the value on having someone helping them on lifting, raising the ceiling, that was easier. So and it was tough, because it was 7-8 months without making a sale. It was complicated. But once I understood that, even if I'm having a good conversation with the doctor, and the doctor just sees that this is his ceiling and he is not going to move from there, he just wants savings, then I know that it's just a waste of time to be with the doctors.
Yeah.
It's more, once they see the value, once they understand that, having a rejection rate of 15% is not acceptable. They need to understand that. A lot of them think that it's just the cost of doing business with insurance companies, but it's not true. It's not true. It's.
Yeah, that's the importance of really driving home that practice analysis that we help you do for doctors, and in helping them understand that with the platforms that we have, we truly can get the majority of doctors, their denial rates reduced greatly, if they move over to our platforms that we have. Historically, we've got a less than 2% claim rejection rates, in our platform, and, lower denial rates and everything. So you're right. It's just a matter of really spending the time trying to educate them on what's really going on. But yeah, we, like you said, raising their cap, raising their overall revenues. We've seen amazing revenue improvements with some of our owners, 20-30% increase in annual revenues for doctors. So once they finally get on the system, they can see the results very, very quickly.
Oh yeah.
But that's the tricky part, is getting them on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. DeAndrea has a couple more questions here. She says, have you given to total savings from the time you offered until now so that they could see the overall picture? I don't quite follow that. I think it's kind of goes along with what we were talking about as far as, analyzing, showing them where they're at right now and showing them, look, with our platforms and some of the things that we've got, our tools, we can reduce your denials and get you paid faster. Like we're helping you on both sides,
Yeah.
So
it's not about savings, it's more about helping them make more money.
Right.
So now what I tell them is, I'm not going to save you any money because, at the end, you're going to end up paying me more because I'm going to make you make more money.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, and that's a good point. You don't want to get into the rate game. Well, we can do it for 4% or you don't want to get into that game because you as a business owner, you're always going to lose that game.
Oh, yeah.
So that's right. You have to shift the thinking with you and shift the thinking with the doctors, and we are increasing your overall income so that you have enough to pay me and still make more money than you were making before.
Exactly.
She's also saying, what's the longest client that you've had? How many can one person manage part-time?
Well, I could tell you probably, I would say, being conservative, one person can handle for, between 3 and 5 accounts, depending on the size of the account. But if it's only one doctor, I would say that one person can handle, 4 doctors easily. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5 doctors, at least. No.
Do you have a good feel for how much time? I mean, well, let me ask you this question. Are you doing everything yourself still, or do you have anybody helping you with data entry? Or
yeah, I have people helping me now. In one in Dallas and 2 in Houston. They help me with all the data entry with the doctors, and the truth is that it's not really that complicated. I mean, just to review a claim and submit it, it just takes a few minutes. It doesn't really take that long. No, what it's more time consuming sometimes is just going after the rejections because some codification problem from the doctor. No. But if the key also is create processes with the doctors so that they know they don't make those mistakes, because most doctors they love to see the patient interact with the patient, and then they just complete the chart and that's it. No, if they don't have a process, the chart is going to have a lot of problems. No, so it's just trying to fix those problems is time consuming. It's just teaching the doctors, creating processes and procedures with them so that you don't have to spend all that time on rejections or going after problems that they created in when they close the chart.
Gotcha. This kind of goes along with what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you to just kind of tell everyone where your business is as of today. But the question is, Diana is asking, how many clients do you have after 8 years? So what does your business look like today? What are your kind of future goals and some of those numbers?
Yeah, well, I have 18 doctors right now. Okay. After COVID, I haven't really promoted the business as I should. No, I have, gotten distracted more on, doctors doing some other type of ancillary products, helping them, incorporate those ancillaries into the practice. And that's, that takes some time. But, I kind of, I have 18 doctors right now. And, I handle those doctors without a problem. I have a good relation. Doctors are very vocal, and they refer you to other doctors. And I usually get, a lot of new doctors. Lately I have received a lot of, inquiries from doctors just coming out of a school, or nurses that are opening their own practices and all that.
Yeah.
Most of them are the ones that I told you, they just want to have savings. I'm starting my business, I want to save as much money as I can, and it really doesn't work that way. I don't want to focus now on teaching doctors from scratch. No, it's really complicated. It takes it's really time consuming, and the expectation that they have is different. I prefer doctors, that they have, they're well established. They're just having problems with billing, which is most of the doctors now. No,
Right. There's always some problems to uncover in a practice, always. Yeah. So what marketing methods really, hit home for you and that you believe in the most? I mean, we have about a dozen different methods that we teach, but what were the ones that you used to kind of get your first couple of clients, and what are your favorites marketing methods?
I did a lot of networking with medical groups. There's one in Dallas, which is because my memory is not really good right now, but it's I'll send you the name of the group. So I know that every city has different networking groups with doctors, between hospitals, laboratories, any companies involved in healthcare. So I joined a lot of those groups, and that's how I got to know some doctors that referred me to their friends, or labs that referred me to other of their customers. So those are really good. I mean, after COVID, that kind of faded away. No, doctors are very vocal, so it's just be after the doctors to refer you to some friends.
Yeah.
Usually the best time with the doctors is, at the end of a month or the beginning of a month, whenever you show the reports on how much money they made, it's they kind of like it, and they call their friends. No, but I also networked with some other networking groups that were investment bankers or CPAs. They know exactly what the doctors are struggling from. So those are good referrals. CPAs is they usually tell you, well, I have a doctor who's struggling with revenues and cash flow, and so those are the good ones.
Yeah, we've actually had several people that were CPAs or accountants, and they had doctors that were clients, and they ended up looking at our opportunity and joining ABS because of that. Like, they just saw such a huge opportunity for doctors, because they really struggle with managing their cash flow. They really need help with that a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. So a couple more questions here. DeAndrea says, how did you find people to hire? What are you paying on average to your employees? Are they contractors? Are they employees?
They're contractors.
Okay.
They're all contractors.
Are you able to share kind of what you're paying them, or?
It's around, between $15 and $17 an hour. That's what I pay them.
It kind of depends on their level of credentials, skill, and all that, right?
Exactly. I started with 12, but I would say on a sweet spot, it's 15 is a good level of knowledge and commitment. Because if you go lower, then probably they just drop the ball, and once is they're not doing the work correctly, and that gets you in a lot of trouble. But I would say around 15 is a good.
And they do you assign certain practices to certain contractors? Is that how you?
Yes.
Yeah. So they
have the practice.
They take some ownership of that practice, right? And they want to help them.
Exactly, because every doctor and every practice, they have their own codes. No, it's not the same coding that a cardiology does to internal medicine, or a rehab or pain management, or they use different. So it's basically I assign them by specialties basically.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Roland is asking, in the 5 to 6 years you've been in business, how has the landscape of doctor clients changed? Are there more, fewer, about the same? And are you still marketing to doctor clients? I think the answer is yes. You're always trying to get new clients, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. So it has changed a little bit because there's you have the large hospitals in Texas, is Baylor, that they're buying practices and they're just trying to bring doctors on the payroll. The things that a doctor, they are entrepreneurs. Most doctors, they don't want to be employees.
Yeah.
And the doctors that I have met that they have joined one of those groups, they end up regretting it, because it's the patients turn out that they were not theirs. It was the hospital. They are limited on the number of services or the type of services that they can do. So they're really limited whenever they join a group. And a lot of doctors are not doing that. They started doing that because it was they didn't have to worry about billing. They didn't have to worry about employees and all that. But at the end is they're entrepreneurs. They don't have the ability to do whatever they want. Yeah. And most doctors with practices, that's what they like. They like to have the independence there. So yeah, so I would say is large groups have acquired some practices, but most doctors, they just want to work on their own.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a trend where they are starting to realize exactly what you just said. They're being treated like employees. They're having their hours and wages dictated to them, and they don't like that at all. So we're seeing a lot of doctors that are leaving those groups and leaving hospitals and forming smaller private practice groups. Are you seeing that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what, I actually have one of those clients. He used to have his practice. It was small practice. Then Baylor bought the practice. We stopped doing business because it was everything with Baylor. But this doctor, he had some energy bars that he was promoting with his patients, and vitamins and some other things that, there's a lot of patients don't want to get medications or do drugs or because, they just want to keep it, they're really health conscious. So this doctor had a good patient base on that. They didn't want to take medication. So it was natural bars or vitamins or a lot of things. And, the patients were really happy. Once he was sold and he moved to Baylor, he was not allowed to do anything outside of Baylor. And that really bothered him because, he lost, all the patients. Yeah. And then when he tried to get him back, it was too late. So he left Baylor, and it was like 8 months ago, he started the whole process. So we helped him with, from credentialing all the way to being set up. But yeah, they're leaving those large groups and they're coming back to their practices.
Oh, that was one of your clients you were talking about?
Yep.
Okay. So he went, you're saying he went back into private and you helped him?
Exactly.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
Yeah, because with the large groups, the problem is that they don't have the independence on doing whatever they want to do with their patients. They're limited, and you need to see a certain number of patients. You need to do these procedures. You cannot do these other procedures or these other things, which makes sense because that's the way hospitals keep control on the doctors. But doctors don't like it. They just don't, and they prefer to work on their own. So that's it's kind of coming back.
I can't imagine having to follow all those rigid guidelines. I mean, being a doctor, you want to be able to help your patients any way that you can think of, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That would be very frustrating, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. And it's worse than, just coming out of college, those jobs are, because, compliance is everything in this business. And hospitals are just really tough with those doctors, which is, I mean, in a way is good, but in not the other way, they are taking away the liberty of the doctor to treat the patient in the best way that they feel they should treat him, no, or
Yeah.
treat her. So and they don't like that. They like to have their independence and get creative on how to treat the patient.
Sure. So let me shift gears a little bit. So why ABS? Why not just start your medical billing business on your own? Why ABS?
Well, and that's a good question. I researched a couple of medical billing companies besides ABS. I liked ABS because all the portfolio of services that you offer to the doctors. I remember one of the other companies, I don't remember the name, they were in California. They had their own EMR. And having, I mean, it was kind of, they built it from scratch. It had a lot of problems. It didn't have the transparency, or yes, for doctors to see the reports.
Yeah.
So it was a complicated EMR, and it was just hard to manage. But they didn't have all the services that you provide. And I like that because, at some point, whenever you are in front of a doctor, that, probably at that point, the doctor doesn't realize he has a billing problem. But he may tell you, my problem now is more compliance. Can you help me with that? Or my problem is credentialing, or I need to do this or that. So you can put one foot on the door with other type of services, and once they see that you deliver, they will come to you. Yeah. In this industry, the thing, and it's in any industry, is just few people really deliver, and they show commitment with their clients or their customers. So once the doctor gets familiar with you, they know you, and they build, that trust is way easier to become, customers, or do the whole billing, because, they're kind of, at the beginning to the defensive. They don't know where you're coming from. They don't know how good you can do things. So it's so that's why I liked it. It's all the portfolio of services, all the services was just great.
Yeah, and you and I were talking before the webinar about, you mentioned that there are some doctors that they just have a stack of denied claims, that their staff is just overworked or lazy or who knows what, and they don't even try to rework those or figure out what's wrong with them and send them in. That's a service that you can offer to doctors. You can say, and I was telling you right before the webinar that we have these awesome tools that help with denial management, and they use artificial intelligence and all kinds of like futuristic stuff to help you put appeal packages together and all kinds of stuff. And so you could tell a doctor, hey, why don't you just let me see if I can get some of these denied claims paid for you, and then let's talk about your ongoing new billing that you've got.
Exactly.
And we've had licensees that have landed really, really good accounts just offering that service. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's really a good point. In some of the practices that I met at the beginning, it was the wife doing the billing. Those are kind of tricky because the doctor will never get rid of the wife to give you the billing. However, once you explain to the doctor, well, it's probably your wife doesn't have enough time to go over all the new things that are in the market, all those new things that can simplify your billing, can simplify your revenue cycle, that, is I mean, you're going to miss out on a lot of things. So your wife can still help you with other processes, but, you know, it's just in terms of money, we can really help you with all the services that we provide. No, so it's a good way to give that exit to the doctor. You know, whenever it's not the wife, I mean, it can be the daughter, the son, or any family member. It's really hard to just tell them, you know, you're not going to be taking care of billing, but it's just explaining to them, we are a nationwide company, and we have the experience of working with doctors in any specialty in the US, and helping them in different ways, you know, artificial intelligence, credentialing, coding, rejections, all that. So we leverage all that experience in your practice, and you don't even have to worry about, you know, training your staff, no, or I mean, in terms at least in billing, no.
Yeah. I keep thinking back to that very first client that you said that you kept beating your head against the wall, and he wasn't listening to you. And I just keep thinking, I wonder if you could go back and say, well, okay, just keep that medical billing company and keep doing what you're doing, but why don't you let me try to work those rejected claims, you know, that they're not working, and see if you could, I don't know, see if you can get paid. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions here. James is asking, what specialties do you have and recommend? Specialties, do you focus in any certain area?
You know, I focus more on PCPs, primary care physicians, family doctors, internal medicine, gynecologists. Those are the lowest hanging fruits, you know, because you know, all patients go through those specialties, you know. So whatever you have, you know, that you're not feeling well, you're always going to go to a PCP, you know. So that's, I specialize in those. I have some pain management. I had one cardiologist, he retired, yeah, I prefer, you know, PCPs. Those are the easiest. Yeah.
And did you say that you did get some business from existing clients, like they referred you to other doctors?
Yeah. Yeah. So at the beginning, you know, the first account that I launched, you know, after I met with you, you know, in after 7 months, it was a pain management doctor. And that doctor, he referred me to other doctors, and even, you know, now Hispanic doctors that he knew they were struggling, and, you know, the sale was completely different, you know, the meeting with those, because it was not about the savings anymore. It's about, how can you help me get out of these, you know, hole that I just got into, you know? So it was, those are easier sales, you know. Once the doctors refer you to other doctors, is because they know that their friend is struggling, and, you know, between, you know, in a peer-to-peer, they're easier, you know, they're more receptive on referrals.
Yeah, we actually had a story from, I don't know if you remember this, but a licensee from long ago had a story of signing up a client, and she was doing billing for this one doctor. And one day she got a fax, back when faxes were a lot more popular. I guess they still are with some doctors, but it had a contract, her existing contract with a doctor, but the signature was marked out, and there was another doctor's signature at the bottom of the contract, and it was that doctor's colleague. And he was like, I want to do the same deal that you got with this doctor. Let's do business. So, like, he signed the existing agreement, just marked the other doctor's name and signed the agreement. So yeah, so that's a pretty funny story, I thought. I guess they needed some help pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is, I do not want you to share any specifics on like income or anything like that. But DeAndrea is kind of curious. I'm wondering if maybe you could share just very, very broad terms of like what your practices are billing out, and maybe an average of what you're charging, your rates, something like that. But I don't want you to get specific on anything. So,
well, you know, I'm just going to go on a bottom, you know, on doing, you know, going over the practice, the questionnaire. You know, a doctor who it's, you know, a doctor may see between 20 and 25 patients in one day easily. I mean, I have doctors that they see 35 and they're just in and out, in and out. No, so but I would say that 25 patients in one day is pretty good.
Right.
Considering the revenue of between I would say $170 per patient.
That's the typical, like you're saying, that's an average insurance claim dollar amount?
Yes. And low end, if the doctor does allergy testing or does some other ancillary products, then he's going to make more money than these on one patient. And then it's that's in one day by 5 or by 40. No, hold on. 20. So one doctor can make around $80,000 to $85,000 bottom line. And then having a low end 7% revenue. I mean, it's basically one account can give you around $6,000 to $7,000 a month.
So you're in the range of around 7% is what you charge?
I mean, just going on the low end. No, I would say on a safe 8 to 9% to charge to doctors is pretty much average. I would say, yeah, between 8 and 9%. Larger practices or more specialized, they go to 10%. Wow. I haven't never gone above 10%. No. But at least one practice alone will give you in 1 month, around $6,000 to $7,000 easily. Yeah. So that would in the low end. That's what I'm. So basically, once you meet with the doctors, is that's probably the first question that I ask. How many patients do you see in a day? Do you do any ancillaries? Because in ancillaries, if they do injections, if it's a pain doctor or an internal medicine, they may be doing allergies or some ANS services for diabetic patients or chronic care management. A lot of things that they add up to these $85,000 now. But 85 is just the bare minimum. That they usually collect to insurance companies, and it's different if the doctor has more commercial or Medicare, so it varies a lot. Doctors who are heavy in Medicaid, that won't be a good fit, right? Because revenues are really, really low on Medicaid. Yeah. But I would say on doctors with 30%, 40% Medicare, the rest commercial, they're gonna make on average $80,000 to $90,000, and that's gonna give you around.
Is that per month? 7. Is that what we're saying? Per month or
a month? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So DeAndrea, hopefully that answers your question. I mean, you can pretty easily do the math and see that, yeah, I mean, you could easily get to 6 figures with just a handful of clients. It wouldn't take much. So it can be lucrative depending on the, the specialty and the number of patients and all that, like you said, Jesus. I've got one more question and then we're going to wrap things up here. We're at the top of the hour. Kitty Academy is asking, do you get a territory and how big is that territory? Roughly how many competitors do you have in those territories? You want to talk about the benefits of not having any of that?
Yeah. And that's the good part. That's the beauty of this business. You don't have a territory. You can really work with doctors anywhere in the country. I usually get, I have received referrals in Chicago or New York, or even Kentucky. I have 4 doctors in Kentucky that I work with. Yeah. The only, I mean, there's no limit in market. Really, you can work anywhere in the U.S. And now with all the technology that we have, you don't really need to meet with the doctors every single month. No. Or have the accounts in the same city that you live. It's very easy to work with doctors in different. The only thing that would be is just understand that, Medicare may have different requirements, different reimbursements in California than Texas or Kentucky. But other than that, there is no limit. In competitors, yeah, you will have a lot of competitors, but those competitors are, they don't have the technology nor the portfolio of services that we have. And it's maybe just a solo biller, and we have a network. This is also the beauty in ABS, because when I struggled at the beginning, that I didn't close any sales, I had help from different licensees within ABS. So that was really, really, really helpful, and you change, exchange experiences, feedback on different type of doctors. That's something that other billers won't offer to the doctors.
Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time is go ahead and Google medical billing services in your area, and you're going to find a ton of results. But as you start clicking around on those results, you can see very crummy, homemade looking websites, phone numbers that don't work anymore. And, the companies that are in business, they're typically just offering the billing service alone, and they don't have all the ancillary stuff like what we've got. So that's really, sets you apart. Well, I appreciate you very much being on here today, Jesus. Thank you for your time, sir. We took up an hour. That went by quick.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, and it was good to see you again.
Yeah, so I just got a couple more slides I'm going to go through here for everybody. But again, thank you, Jesus, for your time. Appreciate it. And let's do lunch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn off my video.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, folks. Thank you very much for being with us today. Here are the steps to jumpstart your business with American Business Systems. You ready? Okay. So we have a research guide that I mentioned at the beginning. If you need a link to that, just contact your ABS rep that invited you to this webinar. We can send you a link. It's like our research, it's like our disclosure document. It's a very detailed 60-page document, goes into a lot of detail on the business model. Next, you can check out YouTube. We have a YouTube channel with hundreds of interviews and testimonials. We've been doing this for almost 30 years. So we've been doing it for a long time. We have references. We actually have a huge list of owners that you can call and chat with yourself about the business. And Jesus is actually on that list. So he'd be more than happy to chat with anybody on the webinar about the business. Then we also can do a live demo of the platforms and show you how our software works and how we're really going to blow doctors away with the denial management and all that cool stuff that we talked about. So ask for a demo. And then you can review the purchase agreement, and then you can do the funding and your training, and then you're off to the races. That's it. So thank you, everybody, for being on here today. If you don't know who your rep is, just call that 866 number right there, or send an email to that info@, and we can put you in touch with the right contact person to get more information. And if we didn't get to your question, please get back with your rep, and we can certainly try to answer those questions for you. I know we had a few more come in for Jesus. But anyway, thanks, everybody. And we're going to do this again next week. We'll have a different topic next week, 4 o'clock Central on Wednesday. And yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate it. All right, everybody, have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.